Scooby-Dooby-Doo! Hi guys, Eric here and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be having a look at this 2015 Subaru Impreza WRX. It is equipped with a very powerful turbocharged flat-4 engine and a 6-speed manual gearbox. Its interior is rather old school, but it comes with heaps of charm and permanent 4-wheel drive. Even though the Impreza WRX is only 29 years old, it has an intricate and illustrious history, particularly when it comes to rally championships. So I will only touch on the basics of the WRX and not the STI. WRX stands for World Rally Experimental. An entry-level, so to speak, rally version of the Impreza, a car that rivaled the Toyota Corolla, Mitsubishi Lancer and Nissan Sentra in the 1990s. What set the Impreza apart from its rivals was symmetrical all-wheel drive and flat-4 or boxer engines, much like those found in Beetles and some 4-cylinder Porsches. Boxer engines produce a distinct sound. In 1992, along with the first generation Impreza, the first WRX was released. In international markets, its turbocharged engine produced an amazing 177 kilowatt. In Europe, it was known as the Impreza GT, and in England, the Impreza Turbo 2000. Locally, it was known as the Impreza 2-litre GT. The engine was detuned, but still produced a mighty impressive 155 kilowatt and 270 newton meters of torque. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour was taken care of in a brisk 6.39 seconds and had a top speed of 227 kilometers an hour. That is quick even by today's standards. Internationally, throughout the first generation's lifetime, it received power increases starting at 177 kilowatts for the 1992 model and jumping to 221 kilowatts in 1997. It also received 2 models, including a wagon as well as a coupe called the WRX Type R. It also had numerous special editions. All models were mated to a 5-speed manual transmission that sent power to all 4 wheels. Locally, the second generation was released in 2001. Power was upped from 155 to 160 kilowatt and torque jumped from 270 to 292 newton meters. Even taking its relatively light weight into account, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour was a bit slower than the previous version at 6.66 seconds according to carmag.co.za. It was praised for its handling, but the looks were controversial, so much so that a facelift called the Blob Eye was released the following year. The facelift's power was up to 168 kilowatt and torque was slightly increased to 300 newton meters. It retained the 5-speed manual gearbox from the pre-facelift. 0 to 100 also remained 6.6 seconds. The second facelift of the second generation was introduced in 2006. Power was upped by 1 kilowatt and 20 newton meters of torque. Even so, 0 to 100 was taken care of in only 5.9 seconds. The WRX also received a viscous rear limited slip differential and a helical front limited slip differential. The third generation of the WRX was introduced locally in 2007 in a 5-door hatchback form. Power and torque from the 2.5-litre turbocharged Boxer 4 engine remained unchanged at 169 kilowatt and 320 newton meters. 0 to 100 took only 5.8 seconds, even though it had a dated 5-speed manual transmission. It received a new vehicle dynamics control system to replace the rear limited slip differential as well. It was criticized for being a bit too soft, and it received a massive power bump from 169 to 195 kilowatt and 320 newton meters to 343. It was also given a wider body kit from the STI, and you could get a 4-door sedan version. This generation we are looking at right now was introduced to the local public in 2014. The 2-litre turbo produces a very healthy 197 kilowatt and 350 newton-meters of torque. 0 to 100 takes 6 seconds thanks to a 6-speed, finally, manual gearbox. Looks-wise, I think that, with the exception of the first generation, this is the most attractive of all WRX models. It looks more premium, modern and crisp. I really like this faux vent behind the rear wheels that is accompanied by a WRX logo. The rear looks great, mostly because of the understated look, if you ignore those quad exhaust pipes. I think this iteration strikes a fantastic balance of being understated without being boring. The only thing I don't like is the size of the wheels, both in diameter and width. They look somewhat lost in this wide body kit and wheel arches. Also, the rear lip spoiler seems a tad too small, but this is just my opinion. What is the interior like? Subaru is known for making very clean and simple interiors, and the WRX is no exception. You get a very flat center control stack, very straight center console, and a very simple looking dashboard, particularly on the passenger side. It's almost as though Subaru wants to lull you into a false sense of security just to hit you over the head with the hammer that is the turbocharged flat-4 engine. Before I get too ahead of myself though, let's go into a bit more detail. The doors are surprisingly long and the windows that accompany them follow suit. They are also nice and heavy, and I love the hinge as it keeps the door wherever you leave it. The door is also very conventional in its design. The top of the doors are finished in a soft touch plastic. There is a perforated leather trim piece behind the metal door handle, and you have a leather wrapped, well padded door armrest. What's more, you get a decently sized front door pocket as well as a coin compartment integrated into the door's grab handle. The switches for the electric windows as well as electric mirrors don't give much in the way of resistance or any dampening, but they do feel sturdy. So far, so conventional. The steering wheel gives testament to the WRX's sporty side. It is a 3-spoke design with red accent stitching on its leather-wrapped, flat-bottomed rim. The steering wheel is accented by a silver trim piece, as well as this beautiful-looking blue Subaru logo. The buttons on the steering wheel, much like those you find on the door panel, don't give you much in the way of resistance, but they don't feel flimsy at all. The stalks are very well labelled, but in my opinion at least, feel a tad hollow. The dials make up for this, however, by being absolutely beautiful. Sporty red digits on a black background with shiny silver bezels. The fuel level and water temperature are beautifully integrated into the speedometer and rev counter respectively. Between the two analog dials, you'll find a full color driver's information display that communicates instant fuel consumption, trip A and B information, as well as total distance traveled. If you're wondering where the rest of the information lies, it is displayed on a separate screen on top of the dash. It is a full color display that communicates oil temperature, outside temperature, turbo pressure, vehicle settings, as well as a very sporty turbo boost gauge. This screen also doubles as the reversing camera feed. The screen solution in the Subaru is actually rather interesting. Instead of one big screen that gives you audio information, climate control information, as well as vehicle settings, it is divided in 3 different screens. You get the color display that tells you some trip information and vehicle settings, a blackout LCD display for the climate controls, and a dot matrix LCD screen for the radio. Now, Subaru isn't the only manufacturer that did it this way. I remember some older Mazda and Honda models that had the same basic layout. It's really odd. Below the two screens on top of the dash, you will find the hazards button. What makes this really interesting is that it seems to be finished in the same type of material that you will find on a warning triangle. I really like it. Below the hazards button is the toggle switch for the aforementioned color screen on top of the dash. The stereo unit might look a tad old school, but the buttons and dials feel nice and upmarket, and because of the many shortcut buttons, it is very easy to navigate. The only drawback is, because of the small dot matrix screen, it can be tricky to navigate through different submenus. Thankfully, if you use the toggle switch for the color screen on top of the dash to toggle to the stereo unit section, you have a lot more screen real estate to navigate through different menus. It is a tad cumbersome, but it is much better than just using the dot matrix screen for the stereo unit. It is very well equipped though. Bluetooth audio, auxiliary port, USB input, and a CD player. Not bad at all. The climate controls look really sturdy, if not overly premium. Thankfully, they look great and they are foolproof to operate. The trim piece that's around the stereo unit, climate controls, and parts of the dash is a shiny faux carbon fiber. This isn't my personal favorite, but it is in keeping with the Subaru's nippy nature. These seats strike an excellent balance of being funky without being too ostentatious. I love the shoulder wings and the red accent stitching, but with the exception of that, it just looks like a normal seat. It's perfect for a car which interior doesn't exactly scream boy racer. To add to the comfort, the driver's seat is electrically adjustable. The WRX also performs very well when it comes to its storage solutions. You get a big, well-dampened glove box, decently sized front door pockets, coin compartments integrated into the door's grab handle, a decently sized tray compartment in front of the gear lever that is rubberized to help mitigate rattles, two deep and wide front cup holders, and a small space underneath the center armrest. Now, the armrest is great for its practicality purposes, but it sits a tad too low for a comfortable driving position. Get in the back and you will almost immediately notice how comfortable these rear seats are. They are soft but supportive. Sadly though, there isn't a lot of space back here. People over 5'11" might struggle a bit with headroom, and even though there is a bit of knee room, there isn't a lot of space for your feet. You can't really slide them underneath the front seat either. Happily, even with the black headliner and black leather interior, it doesn't feel dark and dingy back here. This is because of these absolutely massive rear windows. When it comes to rear storage solutions, it performs a lot better. You have a rear door pocket that's big enough for a bottle of water, a coin compartment integrated into the rear grab handle, as well as a storage pocket behind each front seat. At first I was quite surprised to find no cup holders back here, but they are actually just hidden behind this little flap. I really like the mechanism that keeps the bottles in place, and it folds away again very neatly. I just wish that rear passengers had their own armrest. The boot is a very good size of 460 litres. The rear seats also fold completely flat in a 60-40 split to make even more room. Now this results in a slight ridge that can hinder through loading, but the continuous carpet helps to smooth it out a bit. You even get a space-saver spare wheel. Sadly though, you don't get any tethering hooks, grocery hooks, or 12-volt socket. So, all in all, a very simple, understated, if a tad old school interior. What is the WRX like when you drive it? Considering how powerful the Impreza is, it is really easy to drive around town. The steering is nice and light, the brakes feel progressive, and there is decent visibility all around. You also get a backup camera, which makes it so much easier to park. That being said, you don't get front or rear park distance control. The ride is really firm and the clutch action feels stiff, which can make rush hour traffic a bit of a chore. There is a definite analog feel with the way the WRX drives. Thankfully, it is not too hardcore, so driving around town won't be stressful. Out on the open road, and the WRX holds its own. To an extent. The engine is extremely powerful, which makes overtaking really easy, and the seats are supremely comfortable. However, the ride is really firm, and road noise and tire roar is rather intrusive. The resulting sound entering the cabin can get tiresome after a while. Out on the twisties, and all is forgiven. The steering provides excellent feedback. The brakes feel strong. There is loads of grip on offer and very little body roll in the corners. These seats do an amazing job of keeping you in place as you go around these corners, and the gearbox is an absolute joy to use. So it's not the perfect all-rounder. So what? It is a solid offering from Subaru, especially if you consider the price that these cars go for second-hand, its fantastic reliability and very loyal fan base. Forgive its rather dated interior and stiff ride, and you will be more than happy with your purchase. Well done, Subaru. Thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. If you enjoyed it, please remember to give it a thumbs up, as it makes the world of difference. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe to my channel and get notified of any upcoming videos. I have loads more coming up for you guys, and something very special regarding the used car market, so stay tuned. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Until next time, bye.